Good morning and welcome back to Open Hand Farm. I'm Penny and I am thrilled to have you here. Today I have some odds and ends that I need to do around the garden, just some maintenance type things, but I also need to do some harvesting. So come along and let's see what we can get accomplished today. The harvesting is going to start right here in the beets. Now, I have been told that I can just leave the beets in until I need to pull them out. Well, that's what I've done this year, and boy, do I have some big beets. I did pull one and shared with some friends, and it cut up nicely and it tasted good, so I'm not going to stress over the size, and I'm probably going to can these, so I'll cut them up anyway. So let's just get some picked. I have two tubs here, one that I'm going to put the beets in to take inside, and the other one, because these beet greens look like they've got bug holes in them and stuff, I'm just going to cut them off and feed them to the chickens and the rabbits, and they will absolutely love them. I think it might be easier to just go ahead and cut the leaves off first. Now you can see the beets, and you see what I was talking about with them being so big. And you'll notice that I have 3 or 4 planted together. I did have more in here, but I pulled them when they were smaller. I have learned to do that, and I love it because see how this one is smaller. If I were to pull these 3, that one would continue growing, and that way I can grow 3 to 4 beets in the same space that I would plant 1 beet. And it works out great. Now let's pull these and see how they look. These are golden beets, and I love golden beets so much. So that is a nice looking beet, and it will be great once I get it cut up and peeled and canned in jars. Now this is the worst part of leaving them in the ground too long. These little roly-polies love beets, so they get in there and burrow and eat it. But I can just cut that part away. That's no big deal, and it'll be fine. Now what I will do with these is I will leave these greens on and put them in the fridge in a produce drawer, and they will keep for a very long time, for up to like 3 months or more even. So I'm gonna just stick them in there for now because I don't really have time to can them right now, and we have the Every Bit Counts Challenge coming up in August, which is right around the corner, so I will probably can them at that point. Now I'm just going to continue harvesting, and I have more in that raised bed, so I'll just show you what I have when I'm done. Here's the second bed. Now there are some monster beets in here. I'll clear away the greens and show you. And here's what I have in this bed. Look at these monsters. This one barely has roots in the ground, but it has enough to be able to continue growing. It's a pretty one too. The bugs haven't destroyed it. Now that is a big pot of beets. Now we're going to go in the back gardens and harvest some green beans. So here's the green beans, and they haven't been picked for a few days. So let's see what we have. To save my back, I always sit on a turned upside down tub, and it works out great. We do have bunnies, and we have a groundhog that like to come and nibble on my beans. So sometimes we get half a bean or a fourth of a bean, or they take the whole bean. I've got a lot of blooms here, but I'm not seeing a huge number of beans. Oh, there's a few. The variety of this bean is called Kalima, and I have been very happy with it. It has these nice, kind of thin, long, straight beans, and they're really nice. Here's one that's been nibbled on. I just throw it out and let it finish it later. Maybe they'll come back for the midnight snack. Oh, here's a nice cluster. Some of them aren't ready yet. I'm gonna be careful not to disturb my new little blooms coming on there though. I'll take those two. I have some more beans in my fridge that I'm waiting to add to so that I can can them. We're getting close to having a full mess of them. I see some nice clusters on this one. We've got a lot of nice blooms, so we'll be getting some more. I think this plant was actually 2 plants, and I didn't thin them out, so they're pretty bushy. Lots of blooms, like the others. Few beans. I see some down here. I'm glad there's lots of blooms on here because I felt like they were starting to kind of peter out, but they're definitely not. I'll just keep on picking here. My onions, I think, are getting rained out. I am going to try to pull the soil away from the bulbs today to give them more room to grow and fertilize them with some comfrey tea and see if that helps. Do you see what I see? Actually, I think I'm going to pick it, take it inside, and let it ripen in there because I don't want someone else to get it. It does have a little bit of blossom end rot. We've had a lot of rain that probably washed away any of the calcium that I added in the initial planting. So I'm going to get out here with some comfrey tea and see if that'll help. Okay, I said I had not been out here for a couple of days because of Vacation Bible School and different things going on. So I have some crazy big okra. So let me show you that. Okay, that one's big enough, but let me show you another one. That one's pretty long. They've got big seeds in them. So those will go to the chickens or the compost. But there's some in here I can pick and take in the house. That one is nice. I'll just go through and get all of this harvested. Okay, we got some good size ones, but unfortunately we have too many really, really big ones. I always feel so wasteful when this happens, but we've also had more rain, and of course rain and time is all you need for okra to go crazy. You can see we might not have this plant very long. We've got some little baby bugs going on there and some eggs. I didn't bring my tape out with me to pull those off, but I did get a couple of nice sized squash, so I'm happy with that. We're going to look at the cucumbers now. They're looking a little sad. I don't know if it's just the heat is kind of wilting their leaves or what, but we have some massive ones here, and that could be the problem as well, because once they set some seeds, they're done. They don't need to continue growing. They've done what they need to do. So that one's going to go to the chickens. Now these are a longer variety, so even though that's long, it's still good. So I'm going to keep it. We've got several of those because, again, like I said earlier, I have not been able to come out. in the garden very much the last few days. And that's all it takes sometimes to be overwhelmed with produce. Okay, we got us a few cucumbers and one that I'll give to the chickens. Okay, these are my peach tomatoes. I'm not sure how orange they're supposed to get, but something beat me to one. So I see some that have some really good color. I'm gonna go ahead and pick them and let them ripen in the house because I am so excited to eat these peach tomatoes. As you can tell, my zucchini is done. It's just not doing anything. This one does have a couple of blooms, but I don't know that it's going to be able to finish and complete some squash. They're just not good. Too many vine borers and squash bugs too early this year. Let's go ahead and harvest some of my little cherry tomatoes. They're not too little. Boy, those just fall right off. So they must not get really, really red. This must be their color. Otherwise, I would have to pull them, but they are just falling in my hand. These are a sweetheart cherry. They're kind of shaped like a heart. And I picked a couple yesterday, and they're pretty good. This is my Malabar spinach. And this stuff grows about a foot a day. I am not kidding you. It's been about 3 days since I've been out here, so this is almost 4 feet long. I've been cutting these off and feeding them to the chickens, so I know that these were not here the other day. I'm going to harvest some of this spinach, and I'm going to cut off these runners to give to the chickens. These little pink balls will all be seeds. So I will have lots and lots of this next year because it will reseed itself. So I'm just gonna kind of pull some of those off because I do not need that much. So this is a 3-gallon bucket stuffed full of Malabar spinach vines. I guess that's all we can harvest today. We'll go inside and we'll weigh and see how much harvest I have. And I haven't shared with you my harvest for June, so I'll share that with you too. Wow, what a big harvest I had just today. I know that the beets really helped this, but today's total harvest was 33 pounds and 7 ounces. There are other harvest days that I have done in July, but I'm not going to total all of them until the end of the month. But I will tell you what my harvest was last month. For the month of June, I had 10 pints of berries, 2 pounds, 5 ounces of greens, so lettuce and kales, and probably more than that because I don't always remember to weigh it when people just take it on their way out the door. For beets last month, I had 14 pounds and 6 ounces. I had 18 pounds and 4 ounces of yellow squash, but I believe that probably these two are going to be my last two because that plant is not doing well. I had 3 pounds and 1 ounce of Malabar spinach last month, 14 pounds and 9 ounces of zucchini, 2 pounds, 15 ounces of green beans, 2 pounds, 4 ounces of cucumber, and 1 pound, 1 ounce of okra. So the total weight of my harvest for the month of June was 56 pounds and 13 ounces, as well as 10 pints of berries. So I will have to look back because I can't remember what my harvest was in June last year. I know that I had a lot more zucchini and yellow squash. So I think probably I am less this year than I was last year. Thanks for coming along today. And I hope that if you are a gardener, that you are getting great harvests as well. Thank you so much for the support you give of my channel. And I can't wait to see you next time. So until then, blessings on you and yours.